Unfortunately, it's probably going to get worse in general practice. I just finished up a 4-week locum, and the town that I was working in is losing another 2 GPs. It's a rural town, and they've already lost either 4 or 6 GPs in the last 18 months, then another 2. And so it's getting a little hard to see a GP in that particular town. The practices have closed their books, so if you don't have a GP, then you are out of luck. This situation that we have is not going to be easy to fix. And the reason I say that is that the lag between any long-term fixes that go in now and when we're going to see the effects of that, it's going to be a while. Let's say magically that we could make general practice a lot more attractive. Suddenly the difficulty went down, the risk went down, the financial rewards went up, and the enjoyment went up. And suddenly medical students were like, you know what? General practice is looking pretty good. But realize that even if you could do that today, it's going to be at minimum 3 to 4 years before those doctors come through. And in that time, the baby boomer GPs, which make up quite a large chunk of practicing general practitioners, are looking to retire, looking to work less, or have retired. I was speaking to a colleague today who's in that cohort, and she was like, you know what, I'm looking to retire. I'm done. I'm cooked. I'm out. But when she finishes up, is there anyone to take her place? Not really. And we're going to see this. So there's going to be less and less GPs just as demand continues to rise. And the reason I say that is straight demographics. Like, we are looking at the baby boomers right now. My father is the first of the baby boomers, and he's 77. Now, he's not in great health. He has late stage dementia. He's already in nursing home. But at 77, we've got a big chunk of people coming through the health system for the next 20 years. Realize that the youngest baby boomers, I think around 57, they're not even consuming healthcare yet unless they've barely been neglecting themselves. But as they get older, the demand for their long-term health will go up. And yet we're not going to have any GPs. And in actual fact, we're going to struggle even at the specialist level. Our best bet would have been to have this cohort in really good health, so that as they turn 70, as they turn 80, as they turn 90, they're consuming less health resources. But as general practice is struggling so much, this means that more and more things slip through the hoop. And instead of dealing with an early stage bowel cancer or early stage melanoma, or preventing osteoarthritis of the left knee, or preventing a stroke, we start to see these medical conditions end up in specialist care, end up in hospital, and our hospitals are already overrun because of the effects of COVID. Now, was there any way through this? Well, I would go back and say, hey, when the government chose to freeze Medicare rebates, that was exactly the wrong move. Now, that happened 9 years ago. And this is how long effects take to come through the system. That 9 years ago, Medicare rebates for general practice got frozen, and this forced general practices to become more and more resourceful at extracting more out of less. And that meant largely people were taking it out of their own hearts, taking it out of their goodwill. But eventually, the numbers just hit home that it is no longer viable to run a general practice. This means we have less general practitioners with much more demand. What the outcome of this is pretty much down to straight economics. What this is going to mean is that some people will choose to pay significantly more than they are paying now in order to access general practice. Some people will continue to wait longer periods, and some people won't be able to be seen at all. They will have to go to the emergency departments, which is already seeing more and more GP level care, except it's provided at an emergency level, so the continuity of care does not generally happen. This means that the entire system comes under more and more strain. Something's going to give here. Something is going to give, but perhaps for us GPs, there is an opportunity depending on how you want to play this. You could choose to say, you know what, I'm going to limit my books, I'm going to jack my prices up, and I'm going to see a smaller cohort of people, but I'm going to look after them really well. Or perhaps you might take an opportunity of great need and you say, you know what, I'm going to go to the Northern Territory and get paid a whole truckload of money to look after some really unwell people. And the medicine out there will be fascinating, but it comes at a cost of dealing with, what am I going to do with my kids? What am I going to do with school? How am I willing to extract my entire family and go and live in Darwin for a year, even if they pay me $1 million? And yes, that may happen, maybe not. But it's going to be a very interesting situation, and perhaps some people, some medical students will actually say, you know what, I see the benefits of general practice. If the difficulty comes down and the risk particularly comes down, whereby we are actually managing our GP practices well, we're managing our doctors well, we're managing our patients well, instead of burning everybody out and leaving people frustrated and going, you know what, I've had enough. This is systems level change, and this is not easy. This is going to take a lot of money. But the cost of not doing it means that we will head into increasing levels of health chaos over the next 5, 10, 20 years as the baby boomers move through their health requirements. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I don't think the government have got answers. It's going to fall to us as GPs to work out better ways of providing care. And this may mean that we go back to a pre-Medicare system where some people are paying a lot, and that enables the care to be provided for others. It may mean something else entirely. It may mean that more and more people are consulting with AI, that there just is not enough healthcare, and that literally consulting with a doctor, a live human being, becomes a premium service. And the rest of the people that don't have means, that are suffering, they're consulting with AI, and the AI is doing it, and it's probably going to do a pretty good job. I don't know what happens with medico-legal when the AI stuffs up and gets it wrong, but this may be a solution for us. We may not have much choice. So it's going to be a bit of a wild ride, but there will be opportunities, there will be difficulties, there will be stuff that is unforeseen on both sides of that equation. But most likely it's going to get worse before it gets better, and we may have to make very difficult choices about how we are going to operate in medicine in order to make sure that the overall healthcare of most people in this country is looked after well. It's a difficult assignment, and it was visible 10 years ago. It definitely was visible then, but in their infinite wisdom, the extraction of resources out of primary care by the government is coming home to roost, and the problems that we now face are significantly more difficult than with the ones we would have faced if the investments had been made. We can't go back in time. We can't put the investments in that should have been made, but now we face a very difficult situation. All right, that's all I got for you. Hope that laid out some of the challenges that we've got. We have demographic challenges that are not going to go away. The baby boomers are coming. The baby boomer GPs are retiring, and we haven't got medical students coming into GP. It's going to be a very interesting ride. If you're in the game, it may well mean looking after yourself becomes an absolute priority, and that knowing that there is far more demand than any of us can actually deal with means that we have to be selective about the opportunities that we choose. All right, look forward to seeing another episode talking about GP crisis. See you then.